This is Li Ailing. After years of petitioning, her local government revoked her residence permit, and she joined the ranks of the living dead. She proudly shows a picture of herself as a fashionable woman in Tiananmen Square in 2005.
Now I live on the street and I'm homeless. I'm destitute, but the government won't leave us alone. The government often harasses us, robs us, and destroys our stuff. We don't have any human rights or human dignity.
There are many different ways that local government authorities can respond to petitions that are coming out of their area that are going to higher government officials. Certainly in some cases you may have local government authorities who decide, I've got the possibility of a group of petitioners going up to Beijing, I've got the possibility of a mass protest that's coming out of my area that might go to Beijing. One way of dealing with this is I might decide to cave in. I might decide to sort of pay off the petitioners to try to meet their demands in order to prevent them from going up to higher levels. That happens sometimes. Another way of dealing with it is, of course, to hire thugs, to sort of hire security personnel, and in fact this goes on with quite a degree of frequency, to go up to Beijing to intercept, to sort of detain, often entirely illegally, the petitioners who have made it up to Beijing, precisely because from the local government, from the standpoint of the local authorities, their interest is in preventing the petitioners from reaching the Central Bureau of Letters and Visits and having their petition registered or lodged, and as a result, resulting in a mark against the performance evaluations of the local officials.
I would like to use a personal case as an example because on the one hand it's difficult because it involves my parents, my family. On the other hand, if I use this case to showcase the problems in the petition system, that would be more credible. About 2 years ago, my younger brother suddenly died from a stroke. He left in his bank with a saving of 630,000 renminbi yuan. According to Chinese law, this sum of money is legally distributable to my sister-in-law, to my niece, and also as well as my parents. Okay. However, two judges among the in the Longting, Kaifeng Longting, which is a district court, falsified documents, committed the fraud in withdrawing the money without telling my parents. Okay, this is a typical case of corruption. When my parents found this out, so they filed petitions against these two corrupted judges. So the judge, the guy who actually falsified the documents and committed the fraud, he dared to say, "Go ahead, feel free to report me to anywhere you want." So he encouraged people, to make petitions. When he says something like that, something's wrong, because according to the Chinese law, a judge who is found guilty of committing fraud with the sum of over 100,000 Chinese yuan will be liable, will be criminal if they are found guilty. Right? So, but this case is over more than that sum, and these two judges, should be fully responsible legally for that. But who is going to really see this justice done? So my parents went to the intermediary court in Kaifeng to report the case, and again, they just recorded it and sent them back. They went to the People's Congress special session, opening for hearing grievances, and again, nothing was done. So this is the kind of experience I like to illustrate how the making of a petition is really to be blamed on the corrupt officials and ineffective systems.
This underpass in Beijing's Yongdingmen neighborhood is located near the petition office of China's parliament, the National People's Congress. Many petitioners take up residence here to seek shelter from the cold, the wind and the rain. These three women are from different parts of China, but they found common cause in Beijing. Each says she has endured arbitrary detention as they press their cases against the authorities. This woman, Yu Qiaoyun from Henan province, says her son was wrongfully forced out of his business and became mentally ill. She says she's seeking redress from the business partner who cheated her son.
In the United States, I think it's often common to think, well, these poor individuals are bringing their grievances, they're all right, the party authorities are bad. I don't think that's accurate. I mean, I think you've got to recognize as well that, you know, in many cases what's happening is citizens may be dissatisfied with the entirely legally correct judgment of the local court, and they just don't like it and they're not happy with it, and precisely because they perceive that if I can get somebody at a higher level to intervene and overturn the verdict of the local court, why don't I try to do that?
This is Li Mei'er from Hunan province in central China. She says that her husband cared for his adopted parents until they died, and that they left their home to him in their will. But 7 years ago, the local court gave the home instead to his sister, who was also adopted. Li has been petitioning ever since.
The concept is, at the center the sky is blue, at the province there are clouds, at the county level it is raining, at the village level people are drowning. Petitioners have used that to indicate the idea that all the problems are among local officials, and if only I could reach Beijing, the good emperor could resolve my troubles. Central authorities would very much like to make sure that local officials don't engage in a wide range of abuses. They would certainly like to see that local officials follow central policies. But there's actually a very serious principal-agent problem going on, which is to say that central authorities in China have a real problem monitoring their local authorities. Local authorities can black out information to the center about their misdeeds. They control channels of information. They control the news. They control in fact, to the extent that they can block petitioners from showing up in Beijing, they can actually sort of just completely cover up the problems that are going on.